The student debt crisis. It's not only taking a toll on the college kid, but also their family.
And there are several ways people can work to pay it off, including with a little help from the government. But new regulations on loan forgiveness are making it harder for some students to get out of debt. I talked to Donna Rosato from Consumer Reports to learn more.
Donna, thank you so much for joining us on the Day Ahead this morning. Your report kind of sheds light on what people who are defrauded by their college can do. Can you explain first, though, what is known as a borrower defense to repayment?
Right. That simply means someone who has gone to a college that they think has deceived them in some way will be able to put in a claim to be repaid or have their student loans forgiven. And the deceit can be a number of things. Maybe you're told that you'd have your financial aid would cover everything, but not told that those were loans, or that they were misleading you about how well they could place you in a job, or often these type of schools really aggressively recruit you and tell you a lot of things that may not be true.
Like, is the irony here that maybe the Trump University could have been included in one of those universities?
You know, a lot of people think that it was actually not an accredited university. So believe it or not, that does not fall into this category, even though they use the word university. But there are so many schools that fall into this category. What was interesting is this borrower defense to repayment rule, which is not a great name. You know, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
Yeah, it's not too catchy, yeah.
No, not really. Has been around for a long time, but it only started being used. It's sort of been on the books in 2015. And you saw a lot of schools, once it was put in place, failing, really being held to scrutiny. And, schools that you may have heard of, primarily for-profit college like Corinthian School and IT&T, they shut down after these tighter regulations went into place. Now, the bottom line is, for a student who thinks they've been defrauded or deceived by their school is going to have a lot harder time finding recourse and getting their student loans forgiven.
Yeah, so how is the Trump administration changing that to kind of make it harder to get those loans forgiven?
Right. Now the burden of proof is on the student to prove that not only that they were defrauded, but there was an intent to be defrauded or deceived. That's not easy to do.
No.
And then the other thing is that's a change is that for a student to have their loans forgiven, they actually have to be in default on their loans, which is sort of crazy when you think about it. You know, like, you actually have to not be able to pay your loans and stop paying and ruin your credit before you can kind of seek help for this.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder why the rule is there to begin with. So what can students do if they think they have been defrauded by their college?
Well, if you think you're in this situation, you should apply for this borrower defense to repayment claim. Go to the Department of Education website, or you can do a Google search and find out where to go on the Department of Education website. File a claim, and then you want to keep tabs on the claim. You know, hundreds of thousands of people, since this rule began being used against some of these for-profit colleges, have submitted claims, and a number actually have had them adjudicated and won their claims. But since the Trump administration came in under the Department of Education, a lot of those claims were slowed down. Nonetheless, people can have them. And the new rule does not apply to, it only applies to loans going forward from July 2019. So if this is the old rules, which are a little looser, will still apply to people who have current loans. You never have to pay to go through this process. So don't let anybody call you or send you an email saying they're going to be able to help you for a fee.
So one, people will always try and take your money.
Of course.
That's the theme of that. But two, this is typically happening more at for-profit colleges. So think of those technical institutes, those more of like where you'll learn a trade.
Yeah.
And typically, if you do find yourself in that situation, you've been sold kind of this dream that once you get a degree or certification from them, you're much more hireable than maybe you are.
And I think something that was important that you had her point out is that you're going to have to deal with this. It used to be the university that had to, but now it's on you.
So now with the proposed change, it falls on you, and going up against the university and their resources is never easy. So it does require you to do your homework, unfortunately.
Be careful.
Yeah, for more information on this and other stories, you can find it all right now online at consumerreports.org.